I never told my son about my $40,000 monthly income. For years, he believed I was just a simple widow living quietly in a small house on the edge of town. I wore old sweaters, drove a used car, and never talked about money. Not because I was ashamed of my success, but because I wanted to know who truly valued me for who I was. One evening, my son called and invited me to dinner. His wife's parents had flown in from overseas, and he wanted the whole family together. Something in his voice sounded nervous, but I agreed. As I got ready, I made a decision. I would attend exactly as I always did. No designer clothes. No expensive jewelry. No hint of the fortune sitting quietly in my bank account. I wanted to see how they treated a woman they believed was poor. The restaurant was one of the finest in the city. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above the tables, and waiters moved like shadows through the crowded room. The moment I walked through the door, I knew this night would change everything. My daughter-in-law's mother looked me up and down with a smile that never reached her eyes. Her father barely acknowledged my presence. And before the appetizers even arrived, they had already decided exactly what kind of woman they thought I was. What happened next didn't just expose their true character. It shattered their family's pride forever. And by the end of the night, the people who mocked me would be begging for my forgiveness. Because the one secret I had hidden for years was about to come out in front of everyone, and nobody at that table was prepared for the truth. Sparkles. Took my seat quietly and smiled at everyone around the table. My son seemed happy, but my daughter-in-law, Melissa, looked embarrassed. Every few minutes, her eyes drifted toward my simple clothes and worn handbag. Then her mother finally spoke. "So, Margaret, what do you do these days?" Before I could answer, Melissa laughed. "Oh, she doesn't really work. She just enjoys her retirement." The way she said it made it sound like I spent my days counting pennies. I smiled politely. "Yes, I suppose you could say that." Her father leaned back in his chair. "Retirement must be difficult with today's economy." The table fell silent. My son looked uncomfortable, but I simply nodded. "It has its challenges." The older man smirked. "I always tell my children that financial success is everything. Without money, life becomes very hard." Everyone laughed except my son. I noticed the expensive watches on their wrists, the designer clothing, the constant need to prove their wealth. Yet none of it impressed me, because real wealth never needs to introduce itself. As dinner continued, the comments became more insulting. Melissa's mother asked if I needed help paying medical bills. Her father offered advice about saving money. At one point, he even suggested that I move into a smaller apartment so I wouldn't become a burden on my son. I watched my son sit there in silence, and that hurt more than anything. Then the bill arrived. Nearly $4,000. Melissa's father grabbed it immediately. "I'll pay." He spoke loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. Then he glanced at me. "Don't worry, Margaret. I know this amount might be shocking for some people." The entire table laughed. At that moment, something inside me changed. I reached into my handbag, pulled out a black card, and placed it gently on top of the bill. The laughter stopped. The waiter stared. Melissa stared. Her parents stared. And for the first time that evening, nobody had anything to say. Because they were about to discover that the woman they had treated like a poor old burden was worth far more than they could ever imagine. The restaurant became completely silent. Melissa's father stared at the black card as if it couldn't possibly belong to me. The waiter picked it up respectfully. "Of course, ma'am." "Ma'am." Not Margaret. Not the poor old woman they had been mocking all evening. "Ma'am." Within seconds, the waiter's attitude changed completely. He recognized the card immediately. And so did the restaurant manager who suddenly appeared at our table. "Mrs. Thompson," he said warmly. "It's wonderful to see you again. Please allow us to send compliments from the chef." The color drained from Melissa's face. My son looked confused. Her parents looked terrified. The manager continued smiling. "We appreciate your support of our charity events over the years." Now everyone at the table was staring at me. Melissa's mother blinked. "Charity events?" The manager nodded. "Mrs. Thompson has donated millions to children's hospitals and educational programs." Millions. The word hung in the air like thunder. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Nobody even touched their food. The same people who had spent the evening treating me like a burden suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. When the manager left, Melissa's father forced a laugh. "You never mentioned any of this." I folded my hands calmly. "You never asked." His smile disappeared. For years I had learned that people reveal their true character when they think someone has nothing to offer them. Tonight had been no different. Then I turned toward my son. What disappointed me wasn't their behavior. His face tightened. It was your silence. His eyes dropped to the table. The room felt heavier than ever. When they insulted me, you said nothing. Tears began forming in his eyes. "Mom, I'm sorry." For the first time that night, I saw genuine regret. Not embarrassment, not fear, regret. And that mattered. Because while money can buy many things, it cannot buy character. The bill returned moments later. Paid in full. The manager handed me a receipt and quietly whispered, "Thank you again for everything you do for this community." Then he walked away. Melissa's parents sat frozen. The people who had judged me all evening now realized they had made a terrible mistake. But the biggest shock of the night was still waiting for them. Because the truth about my wealth was only half the story. The other half would change my son's life forever. The drive home was silent. My son followed me in his car, while Melissa sat beside him without saying a word. An hour later, there was a knock on my door. I already knew who it was. When I opened it, my son stood there with tears in his eyes. "Mom, can we talk?" I stepped aside and let them in. The three of us sat in my living room. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Then my son finally broke down. "I'm ashamed of myself." His voice cracked. "I should have defended you." I looked at him carefully. "You should have." Melissa lowered her head. "I was ashamed of how my parents acted." I nodded. "But you didn't stop them either." Tears rolled down her cheeks. For the first time, there were no excuses. No explanations. Only truth. Then I walked to my study and returned with a folder. I placed it on the coffee table. My son looked confused. "What is this?" "Open it." His hands trembled as he flipped through the pages. The first document made him freeze. The second made him gasp. The third made him look up at me in complete disbelief. "Mom," I smiled gently. "Keep reading." Inside the folder were business records, property deeds, investment accounts, and trust documents. Everything I had built over the last 30 years. Assets worth more than $20 million. My son couldn't speak. Melissa looked as though she might faint. "But how?" I leaned back. While everyone thought I was living a simple life, I was building companies, buying properties, and investing every dollar I could. My son stared at me. "You never told me." "No." "Why?" The answer was simple. Because I needed to know whether my family loved me or my money. Silence filled the room. Then I revealed the secret I had never told anyone. Everything you see in that folder was meant to become yours one day. My son's eyes widened. Melissa covered her mouth. For years, they had assumed I had nothing. Yet they had been sitting beside the person who planned to leave them a fortune. Then I pointed to the final page. My son opened it. His face turned pale. It was a new trust agreement. Signed that very morning. The inheritance had been redirected. Not to him. Not to Melissa. But to a foundation that would provide scholarships for struggling children. My son looked devastated. "Mom." I held up my hand. "You were my only heir." The room became silent. But inheritance is more than blood. It's responsibility. Tears streamed down his face. "I made a mistake." "Yes, you did." For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then I saw something genuine in his eyes. Not fear of losing money. Not regret over the inheritance. But regret for hurting his mother. And that's when I realized there might still be hope. Because the next decision I made would determine whether my son lost everything. Or earned a second chance. For the next few days, I didn't hear from my son. No phone calls. No messages. Nothing. I spent my mornings exactly as I always had. Coffee on the porch. A walk through the neighborhood. A quiet life. Then one Saturday afternoon, my doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I saw my son standing there alone. His eyes looked tired, but there was something different about him. Humility. In his hands was a small cardboard box. Without saying a word, he handed it to me. Inside were every birthday card I had ever given him, every photograph from his childhood, every Mother's Day letter he had written over the years. I looked up, confused. Why are you giving me these? Tears filled his eyes. Because I forgot who you were. My heart broke. He continued. I spent so much time worrying about appearances and money that I stopped appreciating the woman who sacrificed everything for me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he reached into his pocket and handed me another document. I opened it slowly. It was a resignation letter. What is this? I quit my job. My eyes widened. Why? He smiled softly. Because for the first time in my life, I want to build something that matters. He explained that he had accepted a position at a non-profit organization helping underprivileged children. The salary was much lower. The benefits were worse. But the work would change lives. Just like mine had. Then he looked at me. I don't care about the inheritance anymore. I searched his face. And for the first time in years, I believed him. A few weeks later, Melissa came to visit. She apologized sincerely. Not for losing access to my money, but for failing to stand up for what was right. Even her parents eventually called. Their voices were quieter than I remembered. Pride had finally been replaced by humility. Months passed. Then one morning, I invited my son to breakfast. I handed him a new folder. His eyes widened immediately. Mom, I nodded. Open it. Inside was a revised trust agreement. The scholarship foundation would still receive most of my estate. But a portion had been restored to him, not because he was my son, but because he had earned it. His hands shook as he read the documents. Why? I smiled. Because wealth should reward character. Tears filled his eyes. This time, they were tears of gratitude. Not greed, not fear. Gratitude. As we sat together that morning, I realized something important. The greatest inheritance isn't money. It isn't houses. It isn't investments. It's values. Kindness when nobody is watching. Respect when nothing can be gained. Love without conditions. Those are the treasures that truly last forever. And at that moment, I knew my son had finally become richer than he had ever been before. The end red heart sparkles.